Digital currency. Bitcoin. Should I be investing in Bitcoin or any other type of digital currency? All of that coming back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. How you guys are doing out there? So today I am actually answering a question that one of my fans actually asked me on my blog about cryptocurrency. And this question comes from Massafy, and she wants to know about Ripple. What is Ripple? What are the pros and cons of Ripple? And should she be interested enough to actually go ahead and invest on Ripple? So let's go ahead and let's talk about Ripple, because Ripple right now is getting a lot of talk around the network. And it's not the first time that Ripple's been around. Ripple has been around since 2017. And it's now that it's actually being brought out because, again, the media is helping it to actually bring it out. So let's talk about that Ripple has as far as to the pros and the cons, as far as to where is it that Massafy, if you want to go ahead actually and invest on this or not. And I'm going to go ahead and actually do this video strictly for you guys out there. All right, so here we go, guys. So Ripple, what is Ripple? Ripple is actually another digital currency. Is it like Bitcoin? Definitely it's like Bitcoin. Is it the same thing as Bitcoin? No, it's not. It is not the same thing as Bitcoin. Even though it is a digital currency, it totally works differently from Bitcoin. Now, if you guys are aware, Bitcoin is actually a blockchain that actually works from peer to peer. So it basically has no regulations. It has no rules as far as to following the rules, as far as to actually reporting anything back to banks and stuff like that. It's not centralized. It's decentralized. Okay, so therefore, the way it works is by one person has it and the other person actually go ahead and buys it from them, and that's how value goes back and forth. That's how Bitcoin works. So Bitcoin is basically the people who buy Bitcoin is basically saying, you know what, it's giving the middle finger to the banks and and the financial district out there and telling them, you know what, go screw yourself because we don't trust you. So that's basically what Bitcoin is. But Ripple is totally the opposite of Bitcoin. Now, Ripple is basically works with the banks. So it's not like Bitcoin that doesn't work with the banks. Ripple, in the other hand, actually does work with the banks. Now, for a lot of people out there who didn't know that, well, here's news for you. The reason why Bitcoin made it so big is because people were actually woke up and actually decided to give the middle finger to the banks. And with that being said, Ripple is the opposite. Ripple works with the banks and is trying to go ahead and get people to come over to Ripple, which the symbol is XRP, and is trying to actually get people to invest into Ripple. So this way they can actually go ahead and do some of the stuff that you would do with Bitcoin. But here's where we're going to go ahead and switch this around a little bit. So with Bitcoin, if you want to transfer money from the United States into Japan, well, that will take you a little while to actually do. So even though you have your wallet and you want to actually transfer it over, that will take a little while to do. And also there is a transaction fee that they actually charge you for this. So anywhere from $40 and going up, depending on which part of the world you're actually transferring this stuff. And you have to wait maybe an hour or two to actually get that money in. If you go through your regular local bank and you actually try to do the same thing, well, this takes even longer to do. Because if you're in the United States and you're trying to send it over to overseas in Japan or anywhere else in the network, well, that's just going to take a lot longer to do, and the fees are just ridiculously high. So how does Ripple actually comes into this network now and makes all of that easier? Well, basically, Ripple actually is promising that they can actually do the same transaction the same way, but actually get that money from the United States into overseas within 3 to 4 seconds. So that's much faster. And of course, we're looking at a lower fees, which will actually be applied, which will actually make the transaction a lot smoother. So if you have someone in the United States that's trying to send money to, let's say, someone in India, and they need the money like really fast, well, using Ripple will actually be a better way of actually doing it. You won't have to pay high fees for that, and the person will have it within 3 to 4 seconds, which is fantastic compared to all the other ones, which Bitcoin can't do and your regular local banks can't do neither. So why is Ripple getting so much attention? Well, Ripple's getting a lot of attention right now because, again, it's backed up by the banks. And because it's backed up by the banks are pushing it as hard as they can to actually put it out there. So this way people can actually go ahead and start investing into Ripple. But like I said before, you have a lot of fans about Bitcoin and they're not big fans of Ripple, and they're not looking to actually go ahead and move their money into Ripple or actually buy into Ripple. Now, here's the thing, guys. With Bitcoin coming into the market and playing in the market, Bitcoin has a big competitor. And believe it or not, that big competitor is, if you want to believe this or not, is actually Ripple. Ripple is the big competitor. Now, will Ripple ever be as big as Bitcoin? We just don't know. That we don't know. We do know that they are backed by the banks. So putting that into the equation, it could be a possibility, but I am not too sure about that. I don't know exactly if it will ever reach to the highest number of 17,000, which actually Bitcoin actually reach. I don't know that for sure. But again, with everything and anything, everything is just about luck. So with a little bit of luck and a little bit of chance, it could be that it goes up. We just don't know. So what is the idea and why should you go ahead and invest on Ripple if that's the case? I mean, knowing that Ripple is backed up by the banks, and a lot of people who don't like to actually deal with the society of that network are not actually doing it. Why would you go ahead and invest into Ripple? Well, let's look at it this way, guys. Now, I just finished telling you guys that it is backed up by the banks. That's one. And we also know that it's backed up by the government, so that's two. So banks and governments, that makes it two. What makes it very powerful is that it has these two backings. And with these two backings, you have to understand that the two biggest countries that deals with cryptocurrency happens to be the USA's and Japan. And in Japan right now, Bitcoin is as big as it's always been, but now Ripple has actually been introduced to Japan. So with Ripple being brought into Japan and with all the new transactions that Ripple are doing, there's a lot of things actually giving Bitcoin some competition. So that's something to think about. The second thing is that if Ripple does decide to pick up and go and starts to run on the market, and you didn't pick it up when it was just basically $1 or $1.10, wherever it's at right now, then you're going to be kicking yourself, saying to yourself, damn it, I should have got it when it was just $1. True. We know that. But with everything, it's just a chance. So I always tell my fans that if you are going to invest on cryptocurrency, don't go crazy. Don't go ahead and invest your life savings into cryptocurrency. Because remember, if these things decide to go ahead and have a bad day on the market, as we see with Bitcoin, Bitcoin can be up by 1,000 points and it can drop as much as 3,000 points strictly in a day. So with that volatility and it being so volatile where we just don't know where it's up or down, it's kind of hard to actually put your money into something that you could have it today and not have it tomorrow. So that's something that you should be cautious about always. If you are going to go ahead and invest on Ripple, then invest wisely. Don't go ahead and put money that you cannot afford to lose. So remember that, guys. If you are going to go ahead and invest money into Ripple, put money that you willingly knowing that you're going to lose it, knowing that it's okay that if you do lose it. So don't go ahead and put $10,000 in there if you're not willing to lose $10,000. And that is just the real way of actually looking at this stuff. If you're willing to lose $100 and you don't care about your $100, then go right ahead and put it in there and let it to rot. If by luck and chance comes along and you actually move up and it actually goes up to a nice number, well, you have a nice pocket wallet now in there. Now, with this being said, we're looking at Ripple trying to go ahead and actually start to leave the nest and is starting to flap its wings, and we're going to start seeing it fly. That's for sure, because now it actually has moved from the USA into Japan. So it's starting to actually move its feathers around a little bit, and it looks like it's willing to fly. So with that being said, and putting that into the equation, remember, guys, when you're looking at digital currency and you're looking at things like this, always remember that this is the most riskiest thing that you can invest your money on. So don't go ahead and just take my word for it and go run into the store next day and go ahead and buy a whole bunch of Ripple. And then if it falls, you're looking at me saying, hey, you told me to buy this and this is what happened to it. No. Remember, this is one of the most riskiest investments that you can ever make. And when I say risky, it's one of the most riskiest things that you can ever make. I can't stress it enough. Let's put it that way. I can't stress enough caution when you're actually dealing with digital currency, just because of its volatility. And this is the reason why I say that. Now, let's see, and let's play the devil advocate here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the mind reading game here. And I'm going to say that, you know what? Ripple is actually going to start to move up. And how the hell is it going to move up? Well, basically, you have the banks moving up and the banks are actually pushing it. And with the banks, you got the government. Now, we have three big boys in the United States. And when I say three big boys, I mean three big heavy hitters that are in the United States. And you're saying to yourself, who can be these three big heavy hitters that can actually make Ripple move? Well, let's look at the first one. The first big heavy hitter that we are looking at is Google. So if Google actually implements Ripple into their system, that can change the game. The second heavy hitter here, which for me will be the first, but the second heavy hitter here is Amazon. If Amazon decides to go ahead and start accepting Ripple, it's a whole new game for Ripple. With that being put into play right there, Bitcoin has no chance of playing the market if Ripple comes into Amazon. Because with Amazon being such risk takers, and I mean they are some real risk takers there, and they actually keep pushing forward and they actually keep opening up new doors and they keep adventuring into new sections and into new areas out there, that can be a big changer for Ripple if it actually is introduced into Amazon. That's the big one there. And third, well, we can't forget Apple. As much as you want to talk about Apple and how Apple is this and how Apple is that, Apple is a big boy on the network as well. So if Apple decides to go ahead and actually accept also Ripple, this is going to change the whole game. We're looking at a digital currency that is basically somewhere within $1 and $1 and some change right now, or less than $1, and actually moving. And when I say moving very quickly from $1 to $10 to $15 to $20, just the same way as Bitcoin move is the same way as Ripple is going to move. That's if the banks and of course the government, everyone else decides to go ahead and enforce this and try to put Bitcoin down once and for all. If they're trying to actually decentralize it completely and just eliminate it, this would be a sure way of a death for Bitcoin to actually die out. Now, remember, this is just my scenario, and this is not something that is proven fact. This is my thoughts on what I think, not saying that this is something that's actually going to happen. But again, if you start seeing movement in this direction, then remember this video, because remember what I just finished saying. If any of these three big boys networks decides to go ahead and take this, because we see already that Overstock already actually deals with Bitcoin. And if Overstock decides to change over into Ripple, and all these other three big networks that I just finished mentioning actually decides to go ahead and implement Ripple into the game, it's going to be a big game changer, real big. Okay, guys, so I hope that answered your question, Master Fee, and I hope I was able to actually give you the details behind that as far as to where it goes. Now, as far as to the pros, those are the pros. As far as to the cons, well, it all depends on the people. If the people feel that this is going to be something that's going to actually go ahead and move up the way it's going to move, then you know what? It is going to move. But if people don't feel that this is not the way and they don't want to invest their money in there because they are actually making a statement, they're making a stand as far as to telling the banks and the government, screw you, we don't want to deal with you, we know what you're all about, then again, this may not actually move along the way it's supposed to move. But remember, always look for the next opportunity and always keep your eyes open for the prize, because a move like this can only benefit you in your favor. And if you play it wisely and if you play it safe, because remember, you have to play this safe. You have to invest money that you are willing to lose. And if you actually make that move and you make it right, well, you're going to be one of those in that club of elites. You never know. And as always, guys, if you guys got any more comments or any more questions or any topic that you guys would like to talk to me about, thank you so much, Master Fee, for actually bringing that one up for me. I will actually go ahead and make a video on this. So, and as always, guys, don't forget, more gains, more gains, more gains, giving it your maximum effort. Peace out.